let's get started straight away
Yeah.
by me gushing over how amazing this album is. It is
Thank you.
fantastic. It's uh, like I said, it's a love letter to death metal, and the reason why I say that isn't because it's like showcasing X amount of influences or is reminiscent of certain bands, whatever. It's because the album is so varied. It's so mixed. Every song is different, but it all works perfectly. It's like a film almost, where like every scene complements the one before it, and it's all so different and it's great, because you can hear influences, like obviously people have mentioned Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse, Death, Entombed, but at the same time, it doesn't sound enough like any of those bands for it to be a copy. It's I think a lot of people were very interested in hearing the album, so when they hear it, it's like it's not just disappointing. It's so there's a minute and a half of me gushing.
Thank you. You know what about all the? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, okay, fine.
um, about the album being varied. Funny thing is, when we started writing, like actually when we started the band, we were like, yeah, let's do old school death metal, and that's it. And but then when we actually started writing, we noticed the album was going somewhere else. Like there's plenty of old school death metal sound in there in the album. But there's also something else, there's all those epic melodies here and there. So yeah, in the end, it came out like a very diverse album, and I love that. It's so varied. And I'm glad people noticed it. And yeah, and this is because, like we have, like, of course we have some common sense in a band like Morbid Angel and stuff like that. But our, like main influences and taste for death metal are so different. Like I like it raw and aggressive, like old school Florida death metal from the 90s and stuff like that. All the riffs that reminiscent of Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angel, they're probably mine in the album. But there's also, like my drummer, she loves like old school death metal, but from Sweden, which is like a completely different world. And my guitarist Taina, she loves Death and Chuck, like and Andy La Rock and King Diamond and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of everything of this there in the album, right? And in the end, we just love it. We didn't plan it to be this way, but in the end, we just love it the way it is.
Yeah, I think long-time followers of your work will know how much you love death metal. I mean, I remember interviewing you in Bristol a few years ago, just before Downfall of Mankind came out or was announced, and you seemed so excited about how there was going to be more death metal influence on that album. So
Yeah.
I think that's another reason why this album is so interesting, is because I think a lot of people would have gone into it expecting it to be kind of a continuation of Downfall of Mankind in kind of a similar way to Triptychon is a continuation of Monotheist and Celtic Frost. But it's not. There's elements of it, but it is its own beast, and it's amazing. The album's been out for 2 weeks today. I've listened to it 10, maybe 15 times, and anytime I'm walking the dog, or if I'm going to the post office, which is literally across the street, okay, I've got time for one song. And it's within a space of 2 weeks, it's become, this is Crypta now, and that's that.
That's it. And the thing is, when Crypta was born, we were still in Nervosa. It was
Yeah,
meant to be a side project. So to me, it just, first of all, it just didn't make like a lot of sense that, like I would have a side project that would sound a little bit like what I'm doing now. No, I was like, that's a blank page I have here, like I can do something completely different. And that's what I aimed for. And also, Luana, our drummer, she actually had the idea of having this side project, and she is a death metal drummer. She's always been a death metal drummer. She's been a thrash metal drummer for that short period we played together in Nervosa, but she's mainly a death metal drummer, and like she feels at home in Crypta. She feels so comfortable, and that I think what contributes a lot to the album sounding like completely different. It's just Luana playing what she really, really likes, and me, death metal is my second passion. I love thrash and death metal like equally, I would say. But I've been playing thrash for like a decade. It feels really good to be, going now to this other passion of mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, death metal has a little bit more leeway than thrash does. I mean, I love thrash. I love it more than death metal, to be honest. But with thrash, it's like thrash metal or crossover thrash, maybe thrash death, and that's it. That's as far as it can go. But with death, you've got melodic death, symphonic, so on and so forth. There's so much you can do with it, which is, I think, part of the reason why the album sounds so unique and so diverse. Is because you can do so much with it, and also you listen to it, and you, even though it's brand new, you go, I can't fucking wait to hear what I go do next, because it's going to expand on that. So.
Yeah, and about this death metal thing, as I said, like I'm really into like this '90s death metal and everything, but when I started writing with the girls, I saw like the beautiful myriad of of subgenres that we could explore in death metal, and I felt so free, because like I could like explore different things, and the girls would come with like super melodic riffs, and like it's still death metal, like, and now we like baby steps started writing a new album. Like I've got so many riff ideas you wouldn't believe. Like I have a folder with like, I don't know, like 30 riffs already. And now Taina, our one of our guitarists, she's gonna have more freedom to write in the album, because when she joined the band, we had like 9 songs ready already or something like that. So she, of course, joined the pre-production and suggested many things, but now she's actually going to be like a massive part on songwriting, and she has a completely particular and different way of writing death metal, and it's going to bring so much to the next album, and I'm so excited already, because it's what we've been creating so far. It sounds like Crypta because we kind of got our like our signature already, I think, but oof, way more, like, I don't know, different. I think I can't wait to, like the keep on developing, like the next songs and show it to you all, because it's definitely going to be cooler, even cooler, I think.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That's made my day. But it's funny, you talked about Taina being more involved in songwriting for the next one, because I know once she joined, you were so impressed that it got to a point where every song had to have 2 solos, one for Sonia and one for Taina. And the other funny thing about Taina, I think, is where everyone knows you and Luana from Nervosa and Sonia from Burning Witches, there'd be a few hipsters going, oh yeah, but I know Taina from whatever underground band. So fuck off, no you don't.
Exactly. Even us, like me and Luana, we're from Brazil, so we share the same metal scene as Taina, and we had never ever heard of her. Like no friends in common, no videos on the internet, total stranger. So it's and she was like such an amazing, unexpected surprise, because we were thinking like initially, of course, to get like a guitar duo. We always wanted to have 2 guitarists so we could have, like those guitar duels in there and stuff like that, and like leads playing different notes. But we hadn't thought of actually having like both guitarists soloing. But then Taina sent us a message saying, yeah, I know you got this side project with Luana, I would love to join. And I was kind of like, okay, the attitude. She was like, yeah, I want to join. I want to, like be part of this journey with you. And I was like, what? And then I said, yeah, send me some videos or whatever. And the first video she sent me was one of her playing like the full song, Crystal Mountain by Death, like nailing the solos and every note perfectly. And I was like, oh, I knew at that moment that she was gonna be the one. And then, like she's got this amazing way of, like soloing, which is like has so much feeling, and it's pretty different. And we were like, okay, just welcome and solo the shit out of the song. And that's what she did. And we love that, like in every song you have like both girls playing and like very different styles of soloing and everything. So yeah, she was like such a nice surprise for us.
Absolutely. I think it also, when you have both guitarists doing solos, it kind of gives a message of unity as well. It's like there's no ego here, but both musicians are able to showcase their talents to their full potential on every song. And obviously, both of them are going to have very different styles. So in that regard, it kind of reminds me a bit of the KK Downing, Glenn Tipton vibe. But
Exactly.
definitely,
My dad is a metalhead, probably more of a metalhead than both of us together. He's like so, like such a metalhead. And when I showed him our first demos with both girls soloing, he was like, I love this. I love this. It reminds me exactly, he mentioned Judas Priest, but also Iron Maiden. He was like, you can identify like whose solo is, like from each of the girls and everything. He was like, yeah, because they had like different ways of playing and everything. And I just love that. I just love that. And also talking about this ego thing, that's really important to me. Like I really, to me, it's always been, but now even more, it's really important that our band is a democratic environment, like, I don't want anyone showing off more than the other one. I don't want anyone having like uh, like a more intense or like with more weight of opinion than the other one. I just want the band to be really democratic. And when it comes to, like musically speaking, this is really important to me. And that's why the album is so diverse, because there's in every song, there's a little bit of me, Luana, Sonia, and Taina. Like in every song, there's not one song that there's like, even if it's a tiny suggestion, but there is, like, and this is what I think it makes the band has its own signature and identity and character, like, and with the solo is the same thing. Like there's no lead guitarist in the band. Like both of them like are amazing. They can create amazing riffs and they can create amazing solos. So why not allow them to flourish equally, like, so yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's reflected in the music itself, but like very clearly, because like I say, it doesn't sound like Nervosa and it doesn't sound like Burning Witches. And they're both awesome bands, but now there's a third one. But it's totally different because you're all working together to create the goal. So
Yeah, exactly.
just wipe my nose. Um, where does the title "Echoes of the Soul" come from?
I'll tell you like my personal approach and perspective from it, interpretation, because like although we chose the name together, I think each of us in the band have, like the title talks to us individually in a certain specific way. As for me, like every word in that album, like all the lyrics, they talk to me in a very intimate, deep way. Like every song I wrote there is related, like either to a process I needed to go through, like on this journey through life, and or like core beliefs I had or core beliefs I needed to leave behind. and you know, like strong opinions I have. It's all there. So every song in there talks to me like in a very intimate way, and like it's all connected. They're all connected to my soul in a personal level, you know, like. So I would say like every song in there, it's like one echo of my soul. So echoes of the soul would be, you know, like a collection of, you know, like voices from within, which was another title idea we had, like something, I think it was voice from within or something like that. But yeah, this is what it means to me. But you know, like we took a while to actually decide on the name of the album. We all came with like different titles, like 10 each, and then we just chose the our favorite words from every title suggestion, and then we came up with Echoes of the Soul. And I just love this title. It's so poetic, right? It's so philosophical. I don't know, and
Yeah.
it sounds good. Echoes of the Soul.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like it, is because you hear that and it conjures up memories of uh, um, like haunting the chapel or altars of madness or something like that. You know, it goes with that, but it's not too dark. You know, it's one of those. It could be from any genre in a way. So
Yeah.
that's why I really like it, because I like subtext and things like that. So I like reading too much into things. Um, Something that was a bit of a relief in a way is the lyrics on the album. Obviously, there's more death metal focus on it. I know you try to relate every song to death itself, but there's still kind of trademark social lyrics on there as well. Because I know you're an activist, and I've seen you talk about some of your activism recently, and it's fucking impressive how far you go. So it's great to hear that there's still that um, battle cry, if you will, or all that message there in Crypta. You know.
Yeah, and it's really nice that you mentioned that, because like you know, like I've been writing protest songs for like over almost a decade with Nervosa, and I love it because it's really natural to me. It's as easy as this, you know, like because I'm like this in my daily life, you know, like I'm an activist, as you mentioned. So it was pretty easy to me. But then I decided to challenge myself, you know, like when starting writing for Crypta. And I also wanted to distance myself a little bit from the usual, you know, like death metal themes, which are, you know, like either gory or like more satanic or whatever you want to call it. I don't have anything against it. I just wouldn't feel comfortable writing about it. Instead, I wanted to go, you know, like through this darker, like doomer kind of lyrics, you know, like this philosophical, dark, whatever that was. And then that's the path I took and started writing. But then, like when I was like halfway through writing the album, I started like kind of missing, you know, like writing protest song. I was like, damn, I gotta write about that, you know, like it's not gonna be an album written by Fernanda if there's not even like a tiny bit of that in there. And I didn't know like how to adapt it to death metal. I was even talking to my friend, and it was like, and I was like, do you know any bands that have, you know, like this social criticism in death metal? And he mentioned a couple, and there's actually not many. And I was like, okay, I'll try, you know, like try to be a little bit adventurous on that. And I did, and I was able to, you know, like Starvation and Bloodstained Heritage. And we have a song that we're going to be releasing in the near future called I Resign, that is also some sort of a protest song, but it's not like straight up in your face, like yeah, this and this and this and that, you got to do this and this and that, and this is wrong. Like it was like when I was playing thrash metal. It's like I decided to make it different. I decided, you know, like to offer a kind of debate in a philosophical, more poetic way. And that's why Starvation sounds like that. I'm talking about, you know, like people, a person actually starving to death, but it's in a poetic way. like, and Bloodstained Heritage the same. And yeah, I felt really comfortable, and I really liked the outcome, and I really plan to still have that on over the next albums. I still want to keep exploring, like deeper aspects of our soul, and like psychological processes we need to go through, because like uh, social things are very important in our society right now, but also we all go through, like more personal things in our mind, like in our daily routine. And I think it is important to talk about that too, because it's representativeness, like it's people reading lyrics that talk strictly to them, and they're like, damn, I thought I was the only one going through it. So I definitely want to keep exploring that, but definitely want to keep writing my protest song here and there.
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes the things that regarding mental health and that's portrayed in a darker fashion can hit home harder than the more kind of friendly approach. Like people, you'll see things like, "Oh, it's okay to talk. Just give me a talk if you give me a call if you feel down." But then there's like music or movies or something. Like, I don't know if you ever saw the film Antichrist, which is fucked up.
Yeah,
It's fucked up, but it's the reason why it fucked me up is because I went, I shouldn't have been able to relate to that. So,
that's Lars von Trier. That's him.
exactly, yeah.
You're
And
like,
it's
damn, I kind of relate to it. Oh.
yeah. So that's the funny thing about having those that a positive approach to mental health discussion, and that within a dark place like death metal, is because it does hit harder because it's not from a smiling face, because it's so easy to dismiss that as fake.
Exactly. And I could only write such lyrics because I was, and I still am battling, like mental health issues. And of course, it's important to keep positive and, like to hear from people that are there for you. But also, you can get in really dark spots when it comes to mental health. You go places and you're like, damn, like I didn't even know I could go there. And it's important. I thought it could be important to, like talk to people about this, and because, like it makes you feel like that you're not alone, and that there's maybe a way out and stuff like that. Like I remember, like there were a couple of albums that actually inspired me to talking, like about this real life and feelings and mental health issues. And I will and they helped me a lot. They were so powerful, and I was like, if I can somehow do that too, I would be like so fulfilled. And but yeah, that's it. Like, and I knew, like I didn't know if it would hit people that hard, like when I wrote the lyrics, because like I would still try to be like poetic and still like a bit positive here and there. And I started getting messages, like from regarding From the Ashes. I got two people who actually had, like tried to commit suicide, and they read the lyrics, and they were like the lyrics were like some sort of end of the tunnel. They brought me some hope, and that's important. That's important, I think. And I got a guy who had, like who was battling cancer, and he could relate with starvation, like, and that's I think it's pretty important. Social things are pretty important, but we're all battling our internal battles too, like sometimes secret battles. And I think it's nice if I can go there and tell people, hey, you're not alone. I've been there. You're gonna get out. It's all gonna be fine.
Beautiful. Um, Kind of hard to follow on from that, really, because that's a really strong uh, sentiment.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the album itself a little bit, more so the recording. Obviously, this was recorded in Sao Paulo.
Hmm.
Did you have any trouble getting Sonia out there? Because obviously she's from the Netherlands, and because of lockdown and all that kind of thing, was it an issue for her to come out and record?
Um, it did involve like lots of planning, which was like a bit stressful and too intense. Let's put it this way. because like of course I knew there would be like a break in between the first and second wave of COVID, and that's exactly when she came. That's what I planned it for. And so it was not as bad as it is now, for example. It was like way lighter, let's put it this way, if I could ever say it like this. But it did involve like lots of planning. Not only Sonia, but also the girls. They don't live in São Paulo, Taina and Luana. They live in different states, so they also needed to travel here. So it was a bit stressful. So because like whenever whoever got here in Sao Paulo would need to be like quarantined for a couple of days and then get tested, and then we would be able to hug each other and stuff like that. And also like there were people who were like on the risk group on the recording staff, so we needed to be like extra careful. And I didn't see my boyfriend for 5 weeks, you know, like because I was there in the same house as the girls. And so yeah, it involved lots of planning. It was very intense because we could not live to do whatever else. But in the end, it came out fine. Like there were like some roller coaster of emotions here and there because like Sonia's flight back got canceled a couple of times, and you know like we needed to figure out like new dates and tons of PCR tests and stuff like that. But in the end, it came out fine. It was all right. But it was like way way more stressful than it would be in a normal situation, way more. But I don't feel bad because you know like it's a global thing, you know, like it's not an exception or bad luck. It's a global thing. So I planned everything knowing that there would be complications.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, different countries have handled it in different ways. Um, we both come from countries that have been heavily criticised for their leader response to the pandemic. Our one actually wanted to have it injected into himself on television to prove that it wasn't a threat.
Oh my God.
So if it's any consolation, Bolsonaro is not the only fucking idiot in the world.
I know that. And I think the pandemic like really showed like who are the assholes, you know, like in the governments. Not that there is a good government out there, but like pandemic really highlighted the worst ones, and Bolsonaro was really on the top three. And I know the one from our country, like at least from what I heard on the news, was also kind of high there on the among the worst ones. But yeah, man, and it's been terrible now. You know, like it's been terrible. It's been just terrible. It's even worse than on the beginning. Like a couple of days ago, we got over 100,000 new cases of corona in 24 hours. Like it's ridiculous for a disease that we already have a vaccine. But you know, like it's. I don't even want to get too much into it because I get really stressed.
Yeah, it's probably best not to. I mean, as I say, I've interviewed you twice before, and we do end up talking about Brazil both times just because I'm interested. But it's different when you're living amongst it, you know, because you kind of want that escape, you know, which is where death metal is a great milieu for it. But yeah, so the only other question I had regarding Brazil was I wondered what your thoughts were on Lula getting released from prison, and if that's going to be any positive sign or not.
I mean, it might be, and I always say like, of course we know everything Lula did, that like the good things and the bad things, and but he's definitely like if it's him and Bolsonaro, I would definitely go for Lula. Like definitely, there's no doubt about it. Like I would vote anyone just to vote Bolsonaro out because he is terrible in so many ways. He's so harmful, you know, like to all the rights we've been struggling to fight over the last decades. So I would definitely vote anyone to vote him out. But the bad thing is that many people who voted for Bolsonaro, including people in my family, voted on him because they didn't want to vote for Lula.
Yeah.
You know, like so now that Lula is out, many people that it was like another candidate would go for this other candidate. Now they're gonna go for Bolsonaro again. So again, these extremes, like can be really harmful for like can really be a threat of like maintaining Bolsonaro in there. But yeah, I'll just vote whoever, just to vote Bolsonaro out. Like I can't take 4 more years of him. Like it's just terrible. But I mean, it's good that now like Lula is out, and like it's been proved that like justice was partial when dealing with him, and there was actually some sort of coup going on, and this is important, like to clear things out. It's important. But the only thing I'm afraid is that like this polarization will make Bolsonaro being elected again. I'll vote to whoever who's not him. Lula is definitely not my favorite candidate. I don't know if I have a favorite one, but it's even unfair to compare both. Like it's even unfair. Lula had many mistakes, but not as close the same mistakes Bolsonaro had, because Bolsonaro is responsible for like many of the lives lost, for example, here during the pandemic. It could have been like thousands and hundred thousands less dead if it wasn't for him like refusing vaccine offers, which he did like over 50 times, and like influencing people not wearing masks and stuff like that. So it's not, you can even compare, I think.
That's the problem. Unfortunately, with politics, sometimes when it comes to the election, it's just choosing between different flavors of shit. It's
Exactly. That's how
to
I
put it
feel.
in a vulgar. Um,
That's how I feel. Like I have like very strict, uh, like idea of what I think it's the ideal, and no politicians I know like go all the way to the way I think. And also like the system's rotten. The system's rotten. Even if there's someone with good intentions, the system's gonna swallow this person up. So it's really hard. But in this case, like you just gotta vote, like fascism out. There's dot. Like it's not the ideal, okay, but we just gotta vote him out. That's all.
yeah. Yeah. Something I was interested in with Crypta, which I forgot is what this interview is about, um, is obviously with Nervosa, you built that up over a gradual process. Like, I think Nervosa had been going for 5 years before you did the first UK show, which is where I first met you when you were supporting Brujeria and Cryptopsy.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was, that's where Burning Witches played their first UK show, and I interviewed Sonia there as well. So that's a fun
Ah,
little connection.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
It's such a small world, right? That's crazy.
that's how I like to shoehorn myself into Crypta mythology. Um, but but I was wondering that with Crypta, obviously people are going to know you more when you launch this band. Like you say, it started as a side project. But how does it compare launching a band as an unknown to a band with more recognizable names?
um I don't know, because the same way, like of course, like we got in the charts for the first time, and everything, like, which I was not expecting for a debut album. So it truly means that like it does make a difference, like that some people know us already. So there's like, and all the fan base we quickly were able to like build. This all contributes because like we were previously known from our ex bands. But the same the same way, like, it's still, I've got mixed feelings about it. Like I caught myself feeling like butterflies in my stomach after 10 years, like for releasing a debut album. I forgot how this feeling was. And it's the same. Like, even though like there's people who know us there's still lots of people who don't. And what will they expect? What are the expectations? Like, so I've got really mixed feelings about that. I knew like there would be like a fan base that would be there for us from our previous bands, but still it's a new band, like it's a new
Yeah.
band. So it's been crazy. I've been getting like so many old new feelings, like feelings I felt for the last time like 9, 8 years ago, and now they're back, like releasing a debut album. And what will they think, like how it's gonna be our first show, like so it's definitely not like, yeah, everyone knows is, let's just like debut and it's gonna be all right. No, it's really different. We still get this feeling of like, yeah, let's conquer fans here and there. Like when we get to play live, it's gonna, like it's the same feeling from when you're starting off a band.
Awesome. That's really good to hear. And again, you can hear that excitement on the album. There's something I wanted to ask you, and then I promise I will never ever bring up Nervosa to you again.
It's not a problem to me at all.
Okay, good. Some people, they don't like to talk about their old bands or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. But I was just wondering if you've heard the new lineup and if you've heard the new album.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of things. I think some of the singles they released, because like it's been the band's tattooed right here.
Yeah.
Like it's been my life for almost 10 years. I was there from, like from the scratch. I was there, like I remember polishing the first songs, and like it was my life for 10 years. And of course I want to know, like how they're going to keep up the legacy I helped building.
Yeah.
So to me it was just natural to listen to and see, like what direction are they going, like out of curiosity and out of, like passion for my old band. Nervosa is like a baby to me. It's like a child to me. So I'll always want to look after it somehow. And yeah, I got the chance to listen to a couple of songs, and I really like that they're, like keeping up the legacy in a kick-ass way, like with nice, um, talented girls, and they reinvented, like what we've been creating. So the band was able to, like be reborn and reinvent itself musically speaking. So I really like the direction they are going. It's not, like my favorite kind of thrash metal, because it lays more on the modern sound, but still like I'm pretty happy, like the band I helped build for 10 years is going well and strong.
Yeah. But Joe, that's really nice to hear. I think a lot of people worry because people get so invested in a band, even if they've never met any of the members or anything like that. And it's the same when you grow up as like a King Diamond fan or Motorhead fan or something like that. Like if somebody leaves or whatever, you kind of feel like, oh no, my family. Um, so it's nice because I spoke to Prika a few months ago and she was saying how excited she was to hear the Crypta album. So it's nice that there's still that respect.
Yeah, I mean, although we had our differences in the band, uh, and although like our vibes were not clicking anymore when I decided to leave the band, we were still friends for so many years, and we were co-workers, and like we were partners, and I wish well, like not only first thing is, whoever follows me for a while knows that I've been a big supporter of women in metal since forever, like, and it's not because it's my ex band and I had differences that I'll hate them and I'll throw shade in that. No, it's still girls pursuing their dreams. And whenever there's girls, there's other girls being inspired. And if it's me or Diva Satanica or Mia Wallace or Prika that is influencing other girls, it's still girls influencing girls. So
Yeah,
that's the most important to me. Like the more girls we have in the scene, the more inspired like the next generation of girls will feel. Like so that's the main thing. The rest is just like the rest.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've been saying for about 2, maybe even 3 years now. I actually think women are leading metal at the moment. I think a lot of the best bands are either all female or female fronted, which is term I hate using. But there's so many awesome all-female bands. Obviously, you got yourselves in Nervosa. There's Black Lab, which is an awesome doom duo from Japan. And I think they're both in their 40s, and it's like their first official band or something, but excellent band. Convent, which is a death doom band from Denmark.
I love them. Label mates, I love them.
And that out, Pure, oh, you know the one. It's a good album. It's a great album. and beyond that, you got Mjørka, also from Denmark, and it's just like, and it's great because it's got to a point now where I think women in metal used to be kind of an anomaly. It used to be kind of like, oh, that's interesting, or oh, that's a gimmick if you're an arsehole. But now it's like, yeah, it's a metal band. I don't think people tend to separate it by gender so much anymore. People are just going, yeah, it's a metal band. It's a good metal band, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And that's why it kind of took me a little while to go, all these bands I'm listening to, they're either all female or there's female members or something like that. So, yeah, I'd actually say that women are kind of leading the charge at the moment when it comes to metal.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. I actually really don't mind the label, like all girl band or all female band. I really don't mind. I actually think this is a flag I raise like fiercely, because we all know, although like it's getting, more and more common, us girls know the struggles we need to face, like being prevented of getting in our own dressing rooms because people assume we're groupies and stuff and not the band. So it happens a lot. Like you get on stage and guys are, okay, so this is the volume button, okay? And so we know the struggles, and that's why I love the label like all girl band. Like whenever like it's really, really equal, then I'll put it aside. But so far, we're still like all girl bands and girls and female fronted bands. I love all these labels. But yeah, it's getting better and better. And that's exactly strictly related to what I mentioned before, because, like girls see other girls on stage and living their dreams, and they feel it's a safe environment for them. Like they look up to those girls and say, wow, if they're doing, maybe I'll be able to do too. Like, and the proof of that is that I've never seen as many girls in live audiences as I would see when I was playing with Nervosa, and hopefully when I'm playing with Crypta now. It's just so many girls, like which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm so happy that there's many amazing girls out there playing and living their dreams, and I really hope it gets more and more and more comfortable to all of us. I just, yeah.
Just on a little bit of a side note there, where we mentioned all female, I just remembered I actually got punched once for wearing a Nervosa shirt, because it was the Victim of Yourself shirt, and on the back it said all female thrash. And I was just stood at the bar, and all of a sudden someone went, like in the back of my head, I went, what the fuck was that for? And there was a woman goes, I don't like your shirt. I said, what's wrong with it? She goes, all female trash. I said, no, thrash, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, I think it really depends on, like girls have different perspectives about it. Like there are girls who really think that you shouldn't label, like because we're all equal and everything. And I also believe we're all, like the same, and there should be equality. But in my view, like it's still not the same. It's still like being a girl in a metal scene, it still carries its very particular struggle. So that's why I personally like to use that term. To me, it represents the fight. Like, but for many girls, no, it's not bad. You're like labeling and everything. So it really depends on each girl's view. And that's the thing about feminism, for example. People think feminism is just one thing, but there are many feminisms inside feminism. And it's all right. It's just different views, Like I know many girls who don't like the label. I love it. I love it. And I'll fight with it, like raising it high until it's like actually the same. Like then I'll put it aside.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I wouldn't mind if that was her reason, but it was just because she misread the word thrash and thought it said all females are trash.
Oh, see, she thought it was trash, all
Yeah.
female trash. Oh man, I'm sorry for you.
It was a nice shirt though, so I wasn't going to stop wearing it.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was worth it. Um,
But it happens. It happens with thrash metal. Like so many times we got posters, Brazilian trash. I was like,
yeah.
damn.
I remember even Bobby Blitz saying about that. He saw trash metal on overkill flyers and stuff like that. Uh,
So aggressive, right? Brazilian trash. North American Bay Area trash. It's funny. Hey,
um,
oh, I really gotta be hanging up soon because
yeah.
there's like another interview like right now. The person's actually
Okay.
calling me right now. I kind of forgot
Yeah.
about the time. So I,
Yeah.
I
I'm so
really gotta
sorry
be
I've
going.
taken up so much of your time.
No, no,
It's
it's fine. I loved it. It was a nice
good.
chat.
I mean, the only thing else I wanted to ask you about really was the upcoming European tour with Deicide and Grisian, because again, that's like the perfect tour for
Perfect.
Crypta to be
It's
on.
just
And
perfect.
that's
It's
something
just the
else I
perfect.
noticed. That's something else I
It's just
noticed about Echoes of the Soul. Sorry, I keep interrupting. Is that it has that Brazilian death metal vibe as well. It's like I say, there's American and Swedish influences on there, but there is an element of Crisian and even on the thrashier side, there's like Causus and
yeah.
that's just like Ratos de Palo influence in there.
It's
Um,
the hate. We all hate so much, like so many problems we need to face daily here. So it's just pure hate. And yeah, that's the perfect first tour, in my opinion. It's gonna be awesome, and I'm so happy the UK are included because,
yes,
like it's not every tour. We know it's not every European tour that UK is included. And our first European tour, we're gonna be visiting UK, like, and there's so many dates. I'm beyond excited. It's gonna be so cool.
honestly,
After
I was so happy to see that because of Brexit, it's not as easy to play in the UK on the rest of the European tour now. So I think in the future we're going to get left behind a little bit. So to see that that tour was coming to the UK, I was excited. Let's put it
Yeah, me
politely.
too. Me too. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to meet you all in there.
Absolutely. Well, Fernanda, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. A lot of time to speak to me. Um,
It
and I
was a
wish you
pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity of having me here talking about my new work. It truly means a lot.
it's I connect with the album itself, so for me personally, it means a lot to talk about it to the creator, the artist. It's like talking to Michelangelo about the Sistine Chapel. But
Cool.
I wish you every success with the album. I hope it goes from strength to strength to strength, and then hopefully I can see you in January, and
Cool.
we'll have a good time.
Cool. Thank you. Bye bye. See you around.